weak capstone. So, but most of them by far, the ones I've been in have been really good, been strong, and everybody's been kind of like, oh, that's a good job, nice, you know, so that's what I expect.
What do you the impression
It was poorly conceived and then clearly not very much work. You could tell the difference when somebody has actually put some effort in and somebody has not. And so, you know, it's like a weak, you know, thesis statement, a weak approach, and then not much depth. And most people, I don't think, fall in that category. Most people got more depth than anything. And if they're in their mind, I think at least like I always think in my mind, the weakness in my things are always maybe conceptual or maybe breadth. You know, you think, well, I did this and I did it really deep and I did well, but God, there's 28 million other things I could have done associated with it. Well, I don't think anybody ever criticizes that. I mean, you could always just point out in your conclusion, you know, I didn't study this and this and this. These are great topics, but I went real deeply down this, and that makes sense. That's what a master's thing is. You identify 12 other problems that the next master's can do. That's great. So the weak ones, the weak ones have been. I really would say the main problem with the weak one is lack of effort. And then it was reflected in the presentation because they had lack of material, lack of effort. So then the presentation was, you could tell, was put together last night, you know, and because they were trying to add more material up to the last, 11 p.m. And so that's what you saw. And that's by far the extreme small amount. I would say out of all the 100 people we run through this program, I would put 5 people in that category. So the rest of them, by and large, almost everyone does a great job, and people are like, wow, I can't believe you did that much work, and presentations are good. So I wouldn't fear it unless you feel like you really don't have much depth at all, and you got a little bit of time. But I mean, I think by and large they've all gone really well. Questions have been good. They've been on topic, so no one's asking these weird. How a lot of times when I went to my master's, there was always a reputation. People would let you make your presentation and then ask you some unrelated question about entropy or, just to show you how stupid you were. Nobody does that. No, and everybody always asks. Any questions are always asked about your work, and any things that's brought up or things. Well, could you have done this? And it's fine to say, well, yeah, but I didn't have time, or well, I don't know. And so I think the vast majority have been very good. So I wouldn't fear it, like I said, unless you haven't done anything. Then, well, work hard over fall break, and come up. And if you haven't done anything, think of what you can do that can get done quickly, right? Yeah. So, but I don't think, from my impression of you guys, I don't think any of you are in that boat. I don't think, unless I'm misjudging you, so.
What's the length of the average presentation, just time frame?
What did they tell you? Have they scheduled?
No.
No, they haven't given you any feedback?
They said about 30 minutes.
Yeah, as I recall.
Yeah.
They didn't say how long it should be.
So as I recall, in the past, they scheduled 30 minutes for each one, and I think the presentations were 20 and 10 minutes for questions, which completely, after 2 presentations, completely got off schedule. So yeah, I'd be happy if they were 15 and 15, because it seemed like the questions were always longer. Yeah. Good, and also, it appears to me, and this has happened in every defense I've ever been in, you think you're going to come in and make a 15-minute presentation and everybody's going to ask you questions. Usually what happens is after one slide, after your title slide, the next one, somebody starts asking you questions. So you're on slide. So I guess what I'm saying, don't sit there and look at your watch and worry. You'll be on slide 3 after 10 minutes. That's good. That means the discussion was good and people were interested. That seems to happen a lot. It's a fine. Depends on the personality of the people. Rupi likes to ask a lot of questions, and so You know, he's gonna do that, and that's good, you know. You want discussion, because that shows that there's the interest, you know. But yeah, I think we're probably gonna follow that same format. We'll probably get behind. So I'll tell Carla to schedule in some breaks. That always seems to help. You know, if we had 3 presentations and 30 minutes off for a break, then by that time we could make get back on schedule. Because I know the worst thing for you to do is think you're going to make your presentation at 1 and show up at 1 and don't make it till 2:30. That's always terrible for me. You know, sit around waiting, be like nervous. And you think they're all going bad then too. Oh my God, if they're that far behind, what's going on? And that's not ever the case. Yeah, 95% of the ones I've been on have been excellent. It's been good, people felt good, they've made their presentation, they felt confident, and it's gone well. And so that's what I think is going to happen here too. Just don't put anything on your view graphs that you don't understand. How's that too? I mean, even if it's copyright down in the little corner, somebody's going to ask you about it. So if you don't understand it, just leave it off. Because then you can't get asked about it at least. Or if you do, then you have to say, well, I don't know, but that's okay too.
So do you normally get the report and then, like, before our presentations? Do you get to review it at all?
I think they normally ask that. That probably never happens. I know, you know, with like the master's and PhD, you're supposed to, there's rules, like you're supposed to get it a month ahead of time. In my entire experience, that has never happened in my entire life. Somebody, graduate students, always running over and sticking it under my door at 4 o'clock when the defense is the next day. And so I suspect that we'll do the same thing. You'll bring it to the presentation.
So the first time you're exposed to it at all is?
A lot of times it's right there, yeah. Which limits the questions. But what I'll do is try to speed read it while you're talking through your first view graphs and come up with something. And with the thesis, I've done the same thing. If you give me your thesis at 5 o'clock and your defense is tomorrow, I'll read it that night quickly. But it limits my editorial content too.
Right.
Yeah.
How does it work when, like, after you're done, like we present it and then we go and wait?
No, I think
say,
with the,
yes, this is it, or you need to do this, like you said. Other people
I think
have
it,
stuff to do.
I think a lot of times, almost all the times, group will say something to give you a little guidance. Oh, why don't you change this or do this? But it's usually something you can do in an hour, unless it significantly needs some work. And then it usually seems like people scramble can do it in a week.
And then you come back and do it again?
No, that's it. He just looks, or like in the case if it was one that you can't present to him and classify on or something, I just look, and we just stated you do what you were asked, and that's all. You never. We haven't, only in the one that the person didn't finish did we actually have to come back and have another presentation. So that's never happened, yeah, so. Because that's the whole point, everybody trusts that you're gonna get it done. So, and I don't know if Carla may ask for the papers ahead of time. It'd be nice to get them a few days ahead of time, because I'll ask better questions. And I don't think people have ever done that though. Because it's so hard, you know, you're pushing to get your presentation done. But, well, let's just find out what Carla wants. I'm okay either way. I'm okay getting it right then. You know, if I got 5 minutes, I can, because it's not going to be too long, I don't think, right? 30, 50 pages. What are they giving you guidance on?
He said, don't make it more than 50 or.
Did she say that?
Ruby did.
Ruby did.
I didn't hear that either.
Don't make it more than
That
50.
first day, he said, don't be making these big, long things. If you get past 50 pages, you need to think about it.
He's probably right. It seems to me like the bulk of them have been about 30 pages.
You're already there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change
That's
it.
okay. No, don't change it. No,
That's the
no.
only thing I've heard him say.
Especially if you got graphs and figures and stuff, you know, those are quick. And you know, blank pages because you restarted, and, you know, started new sections and things. I mean, don't worry about it. Don't ever. I always try to tell my students there's no prize for the longest thesis. And you know, when you're writing a thesis or dissertation, the longer you make it, the more you're going to have to pay the copy center. And if you could make a 3-page dissertation and graduate with it, hey, more power to you, you know. And so I tried to say 100 for a thesis. Both of mine were 200, so that was too long. I've seen them 1,000. That's done. Why would you do that? be, good to have it at least be succinct, you know, so. But, yeah, 50 is reasonable, but 30 is reasonable too, I think. And but, you know, like I said, I wouldn't cut it. If you're already at 50, I wouldn't go panic. I just, let it be what it is. You know, don't worry about things like that. Because if it's got too many figures, I'll just, okay, fine. But, yeah, I think most of the time we don't get it till that day. I recall. Yeah, most masters and PhDs, I'm lucky if I get a day. You know, which is not correct. I used to fuss at my students and say, well, for goodness sakes, if you can't get the complete final thing done, at least a month ahead of time, go over and take them what you got right now. Because they're not going to read it anyway, but at least they thought they got it, you know. And so, and maybe, you know, a few people might read it, and then you get some decent feedback. You know, it's hard. It's hard. Students don't always listen, you know, when they're you know, straight out of graduate school. You know, the younger ones a lot of times don't have the experience you guys have to know that. Yeah, if it's half done, that's okay. It's better than giving somebody something half done to read. It's better than giving them nothing. So, but this should all go well. You know, we've done it enough. Yeah, you give it to me, then I'll read it, and I'll get some. I'll at least come up with 2 or 3 good questions, and so that should be fun. I'm surprised that Carla didn't tell you this. We ought to, so as good as you. So you're not so nervous. So don't be nervous. But don't put something on your view graphs that you don't understand. Don't worry about the length. The length is what it is. How about that? I mean, I wouldn't turn in a 10-page write-up because that would look like you didn't do anything. But I think you could have 10 pages if you had nothing, right? Just if you had section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a title page and an appendix of references. That's 10 pages. If you wrote one sentence on each page. And so, yeah, 30 is fine. 50 is fine. Yeah.
Carla did mention a while ago, she lost track of who's working in groups, and she's trying to see if she needs 1 or 2 days to schedule. Is anybody else working in groups other than, I know you and I know Paul and Jay? Is that it? Nobody else
So most
is
people working
singles?
alone?
He's told us that for 3 semesters.
That's what they told us at the beginning of the program requirement.
That's funny, but it seems like in the past most people work team.
That's what we heard.
It kind of flip-flopped.
Yeah, in fact, no one works alone.
After the first semester.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe he was afraid that some people weren't,
Yeah, they said we had to get special permission to work in groups.
okay. That, it had to do with the university, I bet. I bet that's right. That's funny. Yeah, because it seemed like it made for good dynamics to work in a group, but no. But I guess that's true, because I'm there, but a thesis is never in a group. I mean, you might be in a research group, but you're gonna write your own thesis. But I think, yeah, I guess capstones are always individual too. So that probably makes sense. So you guys that are working in a group, are you each gonna write your own paper? No?
One paper,
One
one
paper?
presentation.
So they're still okay with that?
As long as we understand. We've got a whole lot of guidance on it, so we're just winging it.
Yeah. That means you guys work 3 times as long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry. Like I said, by and large, they've all gone well.
Every day.
Everybody's done, right?
Just about, but I'm at 63 pages, so.
I wouldn't worry about that at all. I mean, it's real.
See, we still have to get ours through TIO.
TIO, yeah.
So, but, I mean,
That's out of your control.
we've got like 1 week left, basically, to get it in
Are they listening to
TIO.
you? Are they listening to you?
Yeah, they hired more people, so and they've been working, I think, at the university, so.
The hard part is getting.
Well, then we can do them, you know, we can do them if it doesn't get out, we can do them unfinished. I've done that several times.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while, they don't come out. You know, or the TIO says, no, we can't do this. That's okay, don't panic, let's do it unfinished.
Well, I'm sure mine will pass if they say sign off.
Yeah. One semester we did maybe 4 behind the fence. It worked fine, so. If you have to, so. Yeah, that's funny. And I've got a badge now, I got a badge this summer with this project, so that makes it even easier.
Do this, I'm like, that's like, last page is down, come on, I gotta get to there.
Factorial experiment.
Use a system.
We had to do it. So, yeah. We had to do it Everybody turns to their own, so they, you know, it's right there.
We've got missing data, trying to convert it,
Whatever.
all
I'd all put it right down. Like,
So
bounce down from the
started 7 days.
Is this gonna be pretty much the same as when you posted?
Yes, yeah. In fact, there's during order. But I try to do that, I try to think, okay, here's, I mean, I might get it backwards, I might change, but, yeah, it is. And this is an interesting lecture, I think.
Started off with this,
I think
wound
it
up
is.
going more and doing more and doing, because like, my
But
process
there is, this, there's nothing posted on this,
automation.
because I didn't wanna,
So it's like you start off.
I didn't
you find out,
wanna do a copyright violation, so, but I'll talk about it, you can download it
Time
yourself.
studies for all.
Then,
Figure out how long it takes. Break that down, how much variation.
I'll kind of tell you what we're gonna do, set the stage, and you'll understand. So this is, we're getting into factorial experiments. So we're gonna get into, we're gonna start looking at factorial experiments. Now, I'm trying to set the stage for what we're doing today. And maybe I should see if Brianna's supposed to Skype in, do you? But did she call anybody or? I hate to waste your time on that, let's see. That's always
Probably on the right time zone.
I don't wanna do that, yeah. That's a. I'll try that anyway. We'll get her started. If she Skype's in, if she doesn't, let's worry about it. So anyway, this is a factorial chapter. So what we're doing, we've got more than one, before we had maybe one factor or two factors. Now we're gonna have three or more. So we might have the table laid out like this. Factor A would be, one of the things that we're varying. And it's got 2 levels. Maybe factor B has got 3 levels. I actually laid it out this way because it's like example 4.3. And then factor C has 2 levels. We could have more, but at least, I can draw this. And so I'm trying to lay the data out like this, where you might have, in example 4.3, you have 3 samples in each one. So in this case, you could see we would have a total of 12 different treatments, right? We've got 2 levels of factor A, 3 levels of factor B, and 2 levels of factor C. And so there are 12 different treatments, or 12 different experimental modifications that we need to do. So we've moved up to where we've got 3 things varying. So some of the key things we're going to learn about are balanced. I'll define what each of these are, and maybe interaction. Okay. And so what you'll see, and I'll define all these anyway, but I'm just trying to give you an introduction too, so you see it. You can imagine, if we've got multiple factors, how this term interaction is going to come. If I change A, if I change factor B, do I get one response at one level of A? If I change A, do I get a different response, or is it the same? Is there an interaction between them?
balanced is, do they have the same number of samples in each treatment? That's very important for these kind of experiments, so we want that. One of the other things we'll talk about, and you'll notice, is if I've only got, in fact, I should probably draw this picture correctly. You know, if I had 3 levels of B, I've got, right, 3 levels of data here. But if in any one treatment, say some level of A, some level of B, and some level of C, whatever it is, if I've only got one data point, then I have no way to assess the random error, right? If I only take one data point for each treatment, then I go over here and take another data point at a different treatment, I don't know whether that error is a result of the treatments or the difference is a result of the treatment or random errors. So one of the key things you're going to learn is that we got to have at least 2 data points in each treatment, or we're not going to be able to get the error in the normal way. Now, what does that mean? Well, all is not lost. We're going to learn another term too, called surrogate error. Okay? And we'll learn it, we'll talk about it, but we won't do a whole lot with it yet. But it'll come up. Is the orange too hard to see? Okay. Heck with orange, right? The heck with UT, eh? So.
Not yet.
That's it, yeah. We'll come back to these words anyway. So some of the words you'll learn are balanced, interaction, surrogate error. And encoding too. We'll talk about coding. And so one of the things I hope you get to when we go through this lecture, because I actually like this chapter for what it does, I hope you'll get a better picture for what the null hypotheses mean, what they mean relative to an interaction like A and B, why you might not want to do a three-way ANOVA. So then perhaps you'll understand why Excel doesn't have it, because neither does GraphPad. And this example I talk about down here is actually from GraphPad, which is a statistics software you can get. It's from their user manual. And they give a nice example of why three-way ANOVA might be not the best thing to choose and what you can do instead. But nonetheless, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you where to get it. I'm going to show you how to do it in Excel for free, so you don't even have to buy a Minitab again, even though I'm going to get it and study it for you guys. So I'm going to show you how to do it, because you might want to do it. And I'm going to, after I do all that too, and I finally convince you that maybe you don't want to do it, I'm going to show you another thing you can do too. Okay, so the things that kind of aren't in the book are here and here and here. But the book does a really nice job on this chapter if you really read it. Again, it's short, lots of little details in the shortness, but I like it. I like you read the paragraphs carefully. You read and say, well, they really made a nice statement, and it makes clear sense. She was good. I don't have to read my text. It makes clear sense what they're saying, and I think you will agree if you read it carefully. So this is where we're headed. So hopefully we'll show you how to do three-way ANOVA, and actually play with one, and so you can understand what's coming out. Show you where to get it. Do these two examples. Play with this one. Revisit this example later on, and talk here. And I would encourage you, if you want to read what I talk about. Like I said, it's GraphPad. It's a piece of software. All you have to do is type in GraphPad user manual. It comes up as a PDF. I found it first thing, and it's on page 314 where this example is. And it's a nice, clearly, and I'll talk about it anyway. But it's a nice, clearly written example about why three-way ANOVA might be confusing and ways to get around it. So hopefully you'll be excited, because surrogate error encoding shows back up later on. So we won't cover it deeply here, but we'll mention it and you'll see it. And then it'll come back later on. Interaction is always in there, balance we've already talked about. So that's where we're headed. It's a good chapter, and it starts getting you really down the path of understanding the subject, I think. So to me, it's kind of exciting. All right, so now let's see. Let me turn the projector on and not block it with my cheap, crappy computer. Like I said, I'm going to try to buy myself a new computer this weekend so that I can actually unplug it and move it without it quitting. You know, I had a good one. If you remember, I had that little red one. It was a Dell, and that darn thing was good. And the input here died. computer worked fine, I just couldn't never recharge it. And I took it apart to see if I could fix it, repair it. Nah, it was too much integrated into the board. So I had to give up on that, which made me sad. I hate buying computers all the time. This is just my wife's old one, which is pretty darn slow. Let's see. Probably need to do oh, there it comes. Good. The notes are really short on this one. And I've got an extra page I added. I didn't actually scan in to introduce the example 4.3 or example 4.4. But yeah. So let's see. So factorial experiments, completely randomized, which remember those words mean that you could take the whichever sample sample group you want to do, it can come in any one of the treatments. You can randomly put them in there. So we've got 2 or more factors, 3, 4, 5 things. That's the things you're varying in your experiment. And in this chapter, we don't have any background variables that make us block. So remember last chapter we were making those blocks because we had something, time or location or something that made us make blocks. Okay, now we're changing course because we got 3 or 4 factors. We're going to say let's go back to the clean world where we got no bad background variables. Next chapter we'll have more factors than background variables. But okay, so we've got no background variables that make us do blocks. So our variation in all of our data and stuff is due to 2 things, right? What the treatments, that's what we're looking for, that's our whole question. And random error, remember, we're never going to get rid of that. And the treatments have, factor A, factor B, interaction A and B, factor C, factor D, factor E, interaction between A and C, A and D, B and C, B and D, interaction between A, B and C, A, B, C, and D. You get the picture. The more factors, the more different kinds of interactions. And also, the more factors, the less clear it is what these interactions mean, right? We might understand what an interaction between A and B is, okay, one thing or another. What's a 3-way interaction? What's a 4-way interaction? It's difficult to even understand what you're asking about that. So, kind of internalize that and realize, yeah, that's even hard to conceptualize. How can we even ask, is that significantly statistic, when I can't even tell you, I can tell you what it is. So we may wind up sucking some of those terms into here. And don't let that panic you. Why not? We're the ones that are deciding what ratios we're going to test for statistical significance. And we've in the past tested our mean square error of A or mean squared error of B divided by the mean square error of the randomness. What's to say we can't add some other terms in there too, as long as we're not subtracting and doing something wrong. So that's okay. And so you'll see one of our examples that gives you a reason why we might want to do that. And it's just a different way of thinking. So let's look at our math here and see what's going on. So just like always, now we've got our data point. And now it's got I, J, and K, right? Because, I got 3 factors maybe in this particular example. Well, actually I got 2 factors in this example, but so I've got a grand mean again. I've got some effect from factor A, some effect from factor B, some effect from the interaction, and then I got random error. So we can go through the same old math that we always do. And in fact, I even say that, the same old math. It's got, they subtract, they do the squares, they do the sum, eliminate the sum, the 0, blah, blah, blah. They go through everything. And the null hypotheses that we're looking at are for each factor, right? One of them is, hey, all the means on the A factor don't matter. They're all the same. All the means on the B factor don't matter. Oh, all the interactive means, they don't matter. So we're looking at each factor, and our null hypothesis is always, well, this doesn't matter. Nor does the interaction, nor do the higher order interactions. It's always our null hypothesis we're asking. So we're going to go through the same old math and come up with our total variation is due to the treatment and due to the error. And then we're going to break this up into each of the factors. So what do? Yeah. We break the treatment up into A and B and interaction, or if we had C, we have A, B, C, and interaction AB, BC, AC, and ABC. Or if we got 4, we could just keep on going. It gets larger and larger. So now, if you look at the ANOVA for a multi-factor, okay, we've looked at that in the past. We've got the main things, we've got the interaction, we've got the error, and then we're going to make our F statistic with that divided by that divided by that, and that divided by that, and ask ourselves, is that, you know, bigger than F critical? If it is, okay, that's unlikely, and therefore that means that the null hypothesis is false, and that means A mattered, or B mattered, or the interaction mattered. Or if we don't like F, we'll look at P. F being bigger than critical is where we're at, or P being little means that null hypothesis wasn't true. P being little means A mattered or B mattered. Okay, and then let's see, and then balanced, it means we've got at least one observation per every treatment, and the same sample size in each treatment. Okay, and then we're going to explore these interactions. Okay, we're going to kind of look and see what they mean in the ANOVA, how they show up, and we're also going to show how, depending on how you look at it, some of them may be significant or not, and you know, they're kind of on the border. They may be hard to dig out, and that's okay because we may throw them away anyway, and we'll show you how to do that. And then we'll wind up looking at the degrees of freedom in our error term and have a little discussion on that as to what happens when that's not big enough, and how to deal with it. So some of the takeaways on this short set of notes is, number one, if we're going to have multi-factors and we're going to not do some of the techniques we learned in the future chapters, make sure you do a balanced experiment. Make sure you got at least one, and hopefully more, we'll talk about that, data point under each treatment, so that you don't have any holes like we had before. And that's important for the statistics and the calculations. So make sure it's balanced, make sure you've got the same number of data points under each treatment. If I got 3 here, I need 3 here, 3 here, 3 here. So that's a restriction. But this is what that's what you're doing. You're designing experiments. You're planning how you're going to do your experiments so you can collect your data so you can analyze it correctly. Or like I said, maybe you've got a giant, huge blob of data and you're going to sample out of it. Well, what are you going to sample? And what are you going to do? You're going to, if you leave that one out, well, you can't do 3-way ANOVA. I'm sorry, don't do that. Good heavens, go get this one. Or if you can't get that one because somebody didn't take it, well, quit doing 3 data points and let's do 2. So that's the only, we want a balanced experiment. We're going to have that. Fewer levels and more samples are preferable. All right, the reason I'm making that statement is from what I said earlier. Remember, if I said if you only have one sample in each of these little areas, so if I only have one, I can't calculate random error, right? Because any difference between here and here might be treatment. It might not be random. So, God, wouldn't it be better if I could throw off one of the levels of B, if I'm time constrained or money constrained, and have 2 samples per treatment, than have this other random level of B? You know, to heck with that. I'd rather have 2 samples because at least then I could come up with an error measure. Or maybe wouldn't I rather have 3 samples and get a better handle on the MSE, because that's in the denominator of my F statistic. And if I goof that up, if I make my denominator too small, my F's going to be big and it shouldn't have been, or I'll make it actually worse. Really, what's happening is it's worse because we've got MS treatment over MS error. And we're hoping this gets big so that we can say the treatment does something, or while we do the experiment. Well, but remember, MSE was some sum of a bunch of squared errors, right? Divided by this degrees of freedom. If that gets smaller, because I don't have very many terms, if that gets small, this gets big, this whole ratio gets little always. And I'm never going to find what I'm looking for. I'm always going to have little s or giant p's, and I'm running on experiments all day long just because of mathematics. I'm not going to get a very big F, and so I haven't accomplished anything. So if you can do 2 or 3 data points and throw off that, please do that. Because isn't that better? At least Because if that becomes a question later on, if B does become an important factor, okay, well then repeat experiments and, eliminate, maybe we find out B is important and we only had 2 levels. Well, that's fine. Then get rid of that level and go put, another level in here and reanalyze your data after you realize it's important. Because maybe you'll find out it's not important and who cares? We wasted our time with 3 levels of B. And we'll learn these techniques, some other of these techniques in the future chapters. But that's why I'm saying here, that's why that's important. Balanced and fewer levels and more samples are better. Interactions are sometimes difficult to dig out from the ANOVA and confusing anyway. Like we said, what are these 3-way interactions? What do they mean? Why do we even say it? And I think when we talk to the biology example out of GraphPad, you'll kind of see that. You're like, I can't even explain to you what it is. And then instead of using a 3-way ANOVA, you might be able to use a regression. That's pretty easy to code, and then you're not stuck with having to download real statistics or having to get many tabs like that. So we'll see that. So that's my short set of notes, because I didn't really need much notes on this chapter, I don't think. So with that, let's jump into some of these examples right away. So the first one is, let's look at a 3-way ANOVA, because this is going to be your tool. And one of the things I believe you'll find out of this chapter, I think, let's see. Yeah, okay, so one of the things I think you'll find out of this chapter, looks like I ought to shrink it up a tiny bit. You'll start understanding, I believe you'll start understanding why some people really goof up. A lot of people make these experiments, take a bunch of data, and then I think especially in a lot of fields, like psychology or biology stuff, they don't have a strong mathematical background. So they'll do all these experiments, then they'll run off, pop it on ANOVA, push a button and get the answer. And that's pleasing because it's easy, right? I just lay it out in the right table and go to the data tab and pull it up and hit ANOVA and spits it out, and I look over there for my P's and I make my conclusion and I write my paper. Well, I think after you look at this chapter and look at some of the results, you may start realizing, even though this seems like it's a cookbook method, lay the table out, go to the ANOVA, hit yes, you got to think about what you're doing always. And so I'm hoping this chapter will encourage you to think, yeah, maybe I don't want to do that, or maybe if I'm going to do that, let me at least think about what I'm doing. So what I've done here, I've made up an example. I forgot I made this one up too. There was nothing to do, but it's all on Canvas, and I think I published everything this time. I published the folder first, and then everything every file you put in the folder automatically gets published. I was happy with that. So I made up an example. So I've got truck motors and sports car motors, and I've got 3 different cubic inch, 3 different displacements, and a couple different horsepowers. So I made up some data. It's all I just made up. And so with the truck motors, I made up some bad data, right? I made it look at them. They're completely dependent. They just, this. In fact, if you look at the equation, you'll see I just multiply by the displacement and add a little number to it. Right. So I take 80% of displacement, add 50. Oh, and then I put a random number on there because you realize I don't know if you've played with this, if you just make up data from an equation like a line or some function, you put it in ANOVA and run it, you don't put any random error on there, it bars at you because you don't have any random error. You divide by 0, it's not going to be happy. So if you don't have some random error, don't use an ANOVA. Don't make up some clean data and think it's going to be real clean. So all I did here was just take 80% of the displacement. I believe on this one I took 80% and added 100. So these are completely dependent, right? So they're gonna look funny. That's okay. And then down here on my sports car motors, I've got a little bit of interaction, right, between displacement and the motor type. So what's happening up here? These are directly proportional displacement and have nothing to do with the motor type other than just the offset. There is going to be no interaction. This one, there's some interaction. Okay, so let's see what happens. So let's do a 3-way ANOVA. Oh wow, look at this. Now let's see, what can I say about the 3-way ANOVA before we do anything? Okay, one, look how I've laid out the data. Let's see, so factor A is the vehicle, and that's okay. Factor B is the motor, yeah, and factor C is the displacement. And then I've got power and two different powers, yeah. And so let's see. So first, where in the world do I get a three-way ANOVA? Ah, okay, let's see, it's over here, under add-ins, it's under here, okay. Now, why don't you have that? Now, I'll tell you what. Let's see, yeah, there it is, look, ANOVA, look at all these interesting things. Nested ANOVA, split plot ANOVA, tons of different ANOVA things. Where did this come from? It came from a really, really nice website here. Yeah, Real Statistics using Excel. So if you would like to do a three-way ANOVA sometime in the future, or some of these other, this is all free. This guy has got a really nice website. You can see he's got home, free downloads, basics, distributions, ANOVA, regression. He's got nice tutorials. Sometimes I wonder where these people come from. I mean, he's great. He's got a picture on there too. Let's see. Yeah, there he is. Let's have. So I would encourage you to use this site. It's great. You know, sometimes you find these sites and like, oh gosh, what am I putting on my computer? The download was quick. The installation instructions were excellent. It worked exactly like advertised. So if you want to do a three-way ANOVA, there it is. And you can download it, do it just like I did, install it. It's got it for different. This is an ancient computer. This is XL07. He still had it. I also put it on my brand new one at home, XL16. I think it works fine. So that's where I got it. Of course, you won't have it. So when you open up my spreadsheets that you download, you're going to get named under all those things, and that's because you don't have this. But literally, I installed it in 2 minutes. You download was instant, and then it's an add-in. So you go into the options, do add-in, just like the hardest thing was figuring out where to put it, because you put it in different places depending on what Excel you're running. So that's where you get a three-way ANOVA if you want it. And maybe by the end of this lecture, you'll decide you don't care about having it because you'll do it with regression, and that's fine too. But if you want it, and you saw there was a bunch of other tools. I have not had the time to explore all those other tools. They look fabulous, and if they work as well as this three-way ANOVA, they're beautiful. And it works just like the other ANOVA. You select your data. In fact, he copied the format, I'm sure. You select your data, same sort of thing, input. Did you do the labels? Did you put your data in rows or columns? What's your confidence level? You're 95%, you hit done, out it comes, just like the others. So it's simple to use. It's made just in the same format. So it's a nice little tool. So now let's see. So what happened? Let's see. So if we look at this, here's the result. Wow, this is nice, isn't it? Look what you're getting. You're getting each of these factors, A, B, and C. Those are called the main effects, right? A was truck, B was displacement, right? Or no, A was truck, B was motor, and C was displacement. So we're going to find out whether those, truck or car, vehicle type. A was vehicle type. So I got three things: vehicle type, motor choice 1 or 2, and displacement. And then you got all the interactions and even the higher order interactions. So let's see what mattered. Let's see. I forgot what the data said. Well, let's see. We know. So motor, the vehicle mattered. It's got a really tiny p in my bad data set. The displacement motor type mattered, yeah, because it did matter. I added 50 to 1, and the other one even had an interaction, didn't it? So both cases, the motor type mattered, and displacement clearly mattered. It was a linear, plot of displacement. Let's see. The interaction between vehicle type and displacement mattered. Well, in fact, it's kind of like everything mattered. Yeah, but maybe at a 1% level, if you're going to call that, these two interactions didn't matter. And then down here, the three-way interaction maybe mattered, maybe didn't. So we're seeing the interactions. Let's see, this interaction was the vehicle type and displacement. Yeah, because that one, the car, it did matter because I clearly had a difference when I changed from trucks to cars. I had a huge difference in the plot versus displacement. And so, yeah, that's why that showed up. So you can start seeing what it's teaching. you can see these are a little bit more confusing, but we did come up with the main effects. So now let's see, let's play with it a minute, because that's what I always try to kind of do, try to understand these things. So let's see, let me make some data without interaction. No, I went too far, sorry. So let's see, what did I do? Here's some data without interaction. Yeah, so let me shrink it up here. So what did I do? I took, you can see I've kind of made, I think I've had the same truck motor data, right? Yeah, add 50, add 100 there, right? And here, add 50 and add 100 there. Yeah, so, okay, so now the vehicle didn't matter. They're both the relationship between displacement and motor and stuff is the same for the trucks as it is for the cars. So let's see what happens when we run a three-way over there. Let's see. What do we come up with? Hope you get a feel for what these things matter. Yeah, so, oh yeah, I forgot. I bet I had that little column on mine too. So let's see. So, yeah, truck versus sport car didn't matter. Came out with a pretty big P. Yeah, because regardless, you know, they both had a linear motor versus this power versus displacement curve. So it didn't matter whether it was a truck or a sports car. They had the same relationship, but displacement didn't. Motor type didn't matter, and displacement mattered. And then look at these interactions. Now there weren't any interactions. No. Yeah, that makes sense. I think didn't matter whether they were both the same relationships, whether it was a truck or a sports car. Now, let's see what I did here. Did I do it again? I forgot what I did on my second one. My data without interaction here. Let's see. Did I do the same thing? Or maybe I did a different ANOVA. Let's see. So I got the same data there, data there, the same data here. 60. I just changed it a little bit. Let's see. And 110. Let's see. So what did I do there? I just changed it a little bit more. Let's see. So what happened to that ANOVA? Okay. So vehicle did matter. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because why? Yeah. In the previous one, remember the trucks had displacement, 80% of displacement plus 50, 80% of displacement plus 100. And then the cars had exactly the same thing. But now this one, the trucks had that same equation, but the cars had 80% of displacement plus 60 and 80% of displacement plus 110. So there was a difference in vehicle. Oh yeah, it showed up, and oh look, this weird interaction showed up too. Well, yeah, there was an interaction. It's funny that it showed up in an ABC three-way interaction, so you can kind of see the point I'm saying too. Well, yeah, that's a little confusing and a little bit unintuitive. What did that mean? But that's okay, right? Because really the question we probably were asking was these. Did vehicle type matter? Did displacement matter? Did motor one or two, big motor, little, big block, small block matter? That sort of thing to the horsepower.
So in that example though, would you just leave off the ABC?
Yeah, I would just say I can't tell you much about it, and even if at 1% it's not significant. So I would say no. I can't even explain that. Yeah, I mean it doesn't, or it's probably I would say well it's most likely showing up because everything varies anyway. So yeah, of course it kind of looks like there's an interaction, but probably there's not. Well, or
I mean, if there's an interaction for A, B, C,
there should be an interaction between all three of them, right? But what does that mean? And what does it mean to your conclusion? Yeah. Because our real conclusion was A matter, B matter, and C matter. Okay. So, yeah, it's just sort of a statistical or mathematical weirdness that showed up in there. And you're right, it should vary like that. So now let's see. So that was a made-up example, right? So maybe you'd like to play with it. So this next Excel that's up there, it's called three-way example to manipulate, let you play with it in case you want to play. And so one of the things I did with it initially is, let's see, what have I got? I've got three factors, and I've just made up random factors here. Instead of calling motor and displacement and horsepower, I've just got A, B, and C. And I've got 3 data points at each location, at each treatment. So see, in fact, I run through all the treatments, right? 111, 112, 121. You can see I've got them all combinations, all 12, right? Yeah, because I've only got two. I got 3 levels. So it's actually it's actually I got three levels of B. Yeah, so two levels of A. Yeah, 2 levels of A, 2 levels of C, and 3 levels of B. So I modeled it after that table. That's nice. And 3 data points at each one. So I modeled it after that example. I didn't even think about it, but that's what I was doing when I did it. So all on this sheet, the one that says random, is my data is nothing but random numbers. That's a great experiment, isn't it? A great experiment. Well, it is in my mind, actually, because look what you get. I like that, right? I got nothing. In fact, let me scroll. I forgot. I probably got my little tail. Yeah. If you look at these P's or the S, whichever you want to look at, it's easier to look at the P's because we don't have to compare it to F critical, which I think is on the next. Well, it doesn't even print it out, does it? No. Since it's a real statistic guy, he doesn't even print out the F critical. So you've got to look at P's. So all these P's are greater than even 5%. That's the closest one. So nothing mattered. Yeah, there was no effect from the treatment, right? I just threw random numbers in that table. Now, is that true? Always? Every once in a while, no. Right? Every once in a while, just bad luck. I copied, that's what you got down here, these little others, I just copied them. This is another random set that got all no's. But hey, I don't remember what, but this set actually got an interaction. It's just bad luck, right? Every once in a while, our null hypothesis gets rejected and it shouldn't have. Remember? That's what the little percent in the tail is. Every once in a while, it's going to happen. So I kept that one. Just, yeah, that's great. Most of the time, if I had to work to get that, I had to do it a bunch of times. So do you understand? If I just throw random numbers in there, run it through ANOVA, there is no effect from the treatment. Yeah, you don't have a treatment. I've just got random numbers. Okay, that's good. I'm happy that it works that way, and you can play with it. And yeah. Well, how about if I do have an effect? Okay, so what did I do over here? I had fun over here. I took the same table, the same layout, 2 A factors, 3 B factors, 2 C factors, and I've got this giant equation in here. And what is the equation? Oh, whoa, gosh. Well, it just says take the coefficient for A and multiply it by the A value, take coefficient B, multiply it by the B value, coefficient for C, etc. So I made a giant function that adds coefficient times A times B times C, coefficient times A times B, A times C, B times C.